What is going on, Lakers fam? This is your boy Jay Lake, bringing you Lakers all day, all the time. It's been a while, but we are back. How's it going, Nas? Pleasure to have you back on, brother.
Yeah, man, I gotta get straighten my hat here.
I like
We
it.
got
I like it.
some good juju in the building here. We got Los Angeles Dodgers, the Lakers COVID year championship hat. Happy New Year's, Jay. Hope you're
Happy
doing
New Year
well.
to you and everybody out there as well.
hmm
So our last vid, we had a little segue going on if we were gonna blow it up or basically go all in, and we're gonna kind of pick off where we left off last time. Of course, we're just going to recap a little bit. We're going to talk about Coach Ham. Does he deserve that axe, or is he just getting stray arrows? So, and the trade market, obviously. So as it is currently, the Lakers are 10th in the Western Conference. What is that, like 15 teams in the Western Conference? So there's like 4 teams worse off than us.
Yeah.
So we are closer to the bottom than we are to the top. We're pretty close to where were last year, even though I felt like we were at a better place last year because, we took off after that trade season. But I'm not quite sure we're heading the same direction this year.
Yeah. Yeah, 7-13 since the in-season tournament. A lot of lackluster play. A lot of games that we should have probably won. This is a homestand in the month of January, and there's 2 games that really stand out as games that we should have won. One against the Memphis Grizzlies, and then of course that atrocity that happened on Friday versus the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, this homestand, it was really important for us because this is the only time that we're going to get those sub 500 teams. And, if we don't do well now, it's going to be rough towards February and March when we're playing all the over 500 teams. We're playing like the Nuggets, the 76ers, some other teams. Yeah, Boston. Yeah. So that's going to be a rough stretch for us.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So we have a couple games coming up that are winnable, but then this time next week we go on the road, and then we're gonna have to play some real opponents. Like a hungry New York team, and of course the Boston Celtics. And then after the road trip, we come back to play Denver, who is a team that I can't even remember the last time we beat. So, since the playoffs, a team that really has our number. So now is the time, Jay. We really, really have to start winning and develop some chemistry, some cohesion, much like we did last year toward the end of the season.
Yeah, just digging our heels, and hopefully D'Lo goes off again. But all right, so
look for someone to get hot.
Yeah, right. So where we left off last time, right? Do we go all in or do we blow it up? 2 schools of thought, basically.
Oh man, it's a difficult question to answer. It obviously it doesn't really look like we're gelling, and every year we're scrambling to the deadline. The deadline this year is February 8th, and we just really can't come up with a team that sticks. And I feel like it's every February we talk about let's make a major trade, let's make a major move. We're building around LeBron and Anthony Davis, and that formula just doesn't seem to be working. When do they have a first round draft pick? The summer of 2029, 2030. So we don't have many draft picks to build for the future right now. This formula is not really working. I personally do not want to break it up, but I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, except for every year we're just scrambling to make a trade, or every offseason we're scrambling to, put different role players around LeBron and AD. And it just doesn't seem to be working, Jay.
Yeah, whatever we do this trade season, we just better make sure that any piece that we get back, they have to be fluid assets, right? They have to be young. Yes. They can't be past their prime, like a Bogdanovich,
Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, anything. Anybody basically on the wrong side of 30, they're trending downwards, and we're not going to get what we paid for them. That's not what we want. So, basically all young players, lots of potential. We could build them into a better player and then, later flip them for more assets down the road. That's kind of the route we really need to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and what they've done, and that team is loaded. That team even has players that they're not playing that they could probably trade for other assets and draft picks and things like that. They're loaded with young talent. The Lakers are not. And it just seems to be the same case every year. We're trading for now, and we're not really planning for the future. And I don't know where the Laker organization is in 2 or 3 years. Say LeBron leaves to go play with his son, say that AD gets injured, God forbid, or something like that. Where are we going with this team with no draft picks for the next 4 or 5 years of note? And no players that really seem, besides maybe in Austin Reeves, seem to have a huge potential going forward.
Yeah, so Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Bust, you need to wake up. I don't know what it's going to take, but look at what Sam Presti, look at what Danny Ainge has been doing. It's like whatever, that's winning formula success right there. Follow that. I mean, it's working. And right now, we need to focus on post LeBron James because it's as soon as next year or this offseason that Bronny James could be drafted by another team and he could be gone. Yeah. So what are we getting from that? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, where are we going from there? And so this really reminds me of Kobe's last couple seasons, where the outlook did not look bright. I mean, at least we had draft picks at that point, but we just didn't really have a plan going forward of what the team was going to look like. And then we went into like 5 or 6 seasons of losing records. Is that what our future is going to look like again? Post LeBron. I know we have Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is having a career year, but it doesn't seem like we have the right formulas to put around him to make the team successful.
Yeah, because that other route isn't working, which we alluded to in our last podcast was basically going down that rabbit hole with Rob Pelinka. It's like he's going to Vegas and he's shooting dice, right? Every single year, trade deadline and offseason. Just reload all your players, retool, reload.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this didn't work out. Let me shuffle it around and see, if I can, make it work. Last, trade deadline, he did. He actually did make it work. But it doesn't seem like that was consistent and that was, a great game plan going forward. And those same players, that played really well and consistent toward the end of the year and in the playoffs just haven't contributed to the Lakers in the same manner. You have Vanderbilt, great defensive player, but just has not got it together offensively. Hachimura with his injuries. We know D'Angelo Russell. He's just like the dictionary definition of inconsistent. So those players seem to be quick fixes, and this year just really haven't panned out the way that I think all of us hoped they would have.
Let's face it, Coach Ham, he's lost the locker room. The only reason we won last year is because you had Beasley, you had Vanderbilt, and you had D'Lo. They took winning coaching and X and O's from Minnesota and Utah, and they brought it to the Lakers. Yeah. They ran the plays that they used to play over there because they weren't used to what Ham runs. And we did very, very well by running other coaches' plays. What does that tell you?
Yeah. It just doesn't seem that Ham makes really good in-game adjustments. Other coaches seem to have the ability to do that. You see different defenses, almost even possession by possession against the Los Angeles Lakers. For example, Jacque Vaughn Friday switching from zone, switching to man, having a clap. I don't know if you noticed that clap that he kept doing. They were making all kinds of in-game adjustments based on who was in the game and what sets the Lakers were running, or whatever the situation was. You just don't see those kind of adjustments from him. You see the same mistakes that we make in the first quarter, or the same mistakes that we make, in the fourth quarter. And, is it that he doesn't feel like he can, coach D'Angelo Russell, LeBron, and Davis and tell them what to do, or are they just not listening to them? I really feel like that's the question. Like you said, he lost the locker room, and if they're not going to listen to him or respect him, then, why is he the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers?
Because there's currently no better option. Because Rob Pelinka told
That's the answer.
told
That's
Genie
the answer. Ding, 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 ding.
told Jeannie Bus, hey, you got to cover this up. Even if we're looking for a different coach, we can't show it right now.
Yeah.
Just put out to the media that you sent him a long text covering up, any problems or issues that we're having right now, because that's not going to look good. And we can't have that. So the other question is, do you really want to ride or die with D'Lo? Because that's how it's been this season. And, the games that D'Lo's been doing well, we win. Games that he's not engaged, not on defense, we lose. And so, I mean, D'Lo, I guess you're a supporter of D'Lo more than our other homies here at Lake Show.
Well, I think that as soon as he came to the Lakers last year, you saw the difference between him and Russell Westbrook. You saw him, being able to run the offense, run out on transition, find players that were open. It just seemed like there was new life to the offense. This year, it's just very inconsistent. You've seen him, of course, increase his scoring average over the last week or so. But the ball is still not, moving like it needs to. They're still not getting out in transition consistently, and moving the ball. I saw it a little bit in the game versus Oklahoma earlier this week, but then, of course, you saw the horrible game against the Nets on Friday where they just were standing around, like you were saying, 5 out, 4 out. They're just standing around the perimeter. Nobody's moving the ball. It kind of seems they're just waiting for LeBron and AD to take it over. And if that doesn't happen, well, then, they're losing easily by, in double digits.
Yeah, because so, when D'Lo's on one, he's pretty slick, right? He's fluid.
Yeah,
he's a great facilitator. But when he's not on one, he looks slow. He looks lazy. He lacks athleticism. In a way, I think
he's not one of those quick penetrating guards. He's not going to beat you, off the dribble. He's not going to be able to, make the other players, go ahead and go to him or get triple teamed. Or, he can't kick it out real quick. He's just not an athletic perimeter guard.
So he's kind of made to go hand in hand with Ham because, when Lakers were winning, there's no criticism towards Ham. He's okay, players, coach, blah, 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 this and that. But when he's losing, he looks like he has no heat, no urgency. He's always seen with his hands in his pocket. His mistakes get louder. His this acceleration for his learning curve needs to speed up like crazy. He has a real bad inability to do in-game adjustments. Very, very slow on rotational adjustments. Very few double teams that he calls. Doesn't substitute offense for defense and vice versa. Things that's been pissing a lot of people off is the timeouts. He never calls timeouts to change the flow of the game. And he doesn't do any coaching challenges. It's like, how do you not save fouls in Austin Reeves or AD or any of your players when, that's a big adjustment. It's given to you for a reason. Take it. Use it.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that ability to take charge of the team. But I kind of saw the same thing with Frank Vogel. Do the coaches really feel like they can't, coach LeBron James and AD? They can't take charge. Are they trying to cater to those players' needs? You see a coach with a young team have more cohesiveness. We have a team where, a lot of people think LeBron James is running the team, so is Darvin Ham just trying to, cater to his superstars? Does he feel intimidated, to be able to make those adjustments? You saw him try to make that adjustment where he put D'Angelo on the bench, and he got a huge backlash from his team. And you really saw the team kind of stop playing hard until, D'Angelo was moved back into the starting lineup. He just doesn't seem to be a person that has command of his situation. And, being able to make those shots or those calls that, maybe do piss off his superstar players.
Yeah, because we need some better coaches or better assistant coaches because whatever we're doing is not working. You saw it with Frank Vogel, our previous championship that we had. It's like it worked, right? We had two other lead head coaches as their assistants because they knew what it took and they were able to make it happen. You could easily find, say Becky Hammond or Sam Cassell or like some other coaches and bring them in. I mean,
so some veteran, some coach that has been around a while, maybe a former player that really can help Darvin Ham with in-game adjustments, especially a person that can look at a defense and an offense and see where the weakness is and being able to take advantage of it. Just right now, you just kind of see the Lakers have a game plan. And if that game plan doesn't work, they just kind of ride and die with it for the entire game. And it's embarrassing. Friday night was embarrassing. You kind of saw the Nets, make adjustments, and they were able to find those wing shooters like a Mikal Bridges or a Cam Thomas that was, who was on fire. And they continued with that same game plan in the second half and were able to just get a double-digit lead by the end of the third quarter, when that was a game that looked like the Lakers had in hand. They'd figured something out with the Laker defense, and they were able to take advantage of it all the way to the end of the game.
Yeah, it seems like every coach is able to one-up Ham very easily these days. Mm-hmm. That's why in that post presser when they interviewed D'Lo, shots were fired at Ham. He was complimenting Jacque Vaughn, hell of a coach. He's an X and O's guy. All those slips and the screens that he runs, Ham doesn't pick up on it. He just depends on AD. And he went further on to say that we play hero ball, so shots aren't falling. And when shots are falling, we win, and when they don't, they get an easy fast break, and that's how we lose all these games. And that's not good when that's coming from your starting point guard. I mean, that's representative of how the locker room is right now.
Yeah, chemistry isn't very good, and if he's saying that they're only winning because of hero ball, I would have to agree with him. The games that we have won, at least most of the games that we have won, are because a player has taken over. Mostly Anthony Davis, but you even see it, at times with LeBron James, or D'Angelo Russell just has one of those games where, he's in the zone and he's making his threes. If those options are not working, we don't have a plan B or a plan C to go to when LeBron has an off night or AD just isn't involved in the offense. We have no other options. All of our role players that we thought maybe could take over certain games just haven't stepped up or just been able to succeed. Hachimura with his injuries, Taurean Prince just hasn't hit the three ball like we predicted him or hoped that he would shoot from the 3-point range. Those players just haven't really panned out. Gabe Vincent has been injured all year. Probably won't come back for another 3 weeks or a month because of his shoulder surgery. So these options just haven't panned out. And so when you do see a LeBron James or Davis unable to take over for whatever reason, we don't have a plan B or C to really help us, get through the game, or, of course, win the game. If hero ball's not working, we got nothing else.
Yeah, definitely. All we rely on is basically LBJ and AD. And a third player step up, because if that third player doesn't step up, then we lose. And
we're hoping Austin Reeves. I don't think he's there yet. And I think a lot of defenders have kind of figured out what works for him. He's not able to get to the free throw line or drive to the paint like he did last year, especially during our playoff run. He hasn't been able to shoot threes the last couple of games. He's in a drought from the 3-point line. So, either they figured Reeves out or he's just kind of in a slump, but he hasn't really been that consistent third option either, which I think a lot of us had hoped, and the Lakers had hoped that he would by this point of the season.
All right, let's head over to that trade market. It's looming.
Let's do it.
Right around the corner.
Who we got? Who's the next Laker?
Well, obviously, it's not going to be the big names that we've seen, not Chicago Bulls. If it is Chicago Bulls,
that's for sure.
Yep. If we really trade the market, including Austin Reeves, I really wanted OG. I said that on our last podcast, and OG went over to Knicks, and he's been doing great. 30+ minutes a night, almost 30+ points per game. I mean, That's awesome. What more can you ask from a player? So that would have been perfect for the Lakers.
Oh yeah, definitely one of those players that could take over the game. Like we said, if hero ball's not working, or our superstars aren't in the zone, another player that could take over the game. OG would be definitely have been that third option, but he's over there in New York now.
Yeah. So I guess the top of my trade list right now stands at Bruce Brown, Gary Trent. If we're looking at the Raptors, because both of those players went over from, or at least Bruce Brown went over from that Indiana trade where that sent over Pascal. And Gary Trent is that backup point guard. He's not getting much burn this season, but he would still be a great fit on the Lakers. If we're gonna go with the Nets, I would be Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal. Those would be pretty good fits as well for the Lakers. And that I think would be my targets. What about yours?
Yeah, I like the Bruce Brown situation. It looks like Toronto is blowing up their team. I know they got some good assets with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, but it does look like they're kind of building for the future, especially with the Siakam trade. So you do have a Bruce Brown in the mix. He was a Laker killer last year during the NBA playoffs of the Western Conference Finals. He might be a player that could fulfill some of the needs that we have at this point, especially with a consistent player that could come off the bench and take over a game at least offensively. There's still the Chicago option with DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. I hear that those murmurs are still there. The Zach LaVine trade talks have pretty much died. And then you have the trade talks that we hear most about right now in the news, and that's for DeJounte Murray in Atlanta, which for me just seems like maybe 2 or 3 years younger version of D'Angelo Russell. So I'm not really sure if that's a great option. But I do think that we need a player off the bench. We also do need another shot blocker, right? We need a good reserve center. Jackson Hayes just hasn't worked out. Christian Wood offensively, but we already knew that his biggest weakness was, defensively. So, I think we need, better role players. Obviously, we've talked about that to death in this podcast. And we need that energy off the bench. So Bruce Brown would be a great option if Toronto doesn't see him there, long term. That was just a trade chip. Or a player, a reserve center that could, come in and alleviate, some of the problems that we're having with penetration when Davis, sits down. As soon as Davis sits down, the lane is wide open. There hasn't that second defensive presence that we've got. That we've been able to establish this season. So a reserve center, another defensive presence, or a player that could be that energy spark off the bench.
Yeah, I really feel like we just need a big man coach. I mean, if you're going to go to Darvin Ham, be like, hey, why aren't our bigs doing well? He won't know. He's a rookie head coach. It's like you need those big men coach to be able to assimilate your big men into your plays. They need to get involved, and they be able to become, I would say, better than the sum of their parts, right? We've had a long history of big men that all came in and they just all sucked. They all washed out. But before that, I mean, you had legends that are all Laker greats. They're all Laker bigs, and there's a reason for that. But big men, that is a necessity for us. Chicago Bulls, I mean, right now I kind of want to trade for, I guess, post LBJ, right? Because if we're going to DeMar DeRozan, yes, we'll be able to pay everything that we have right now and get DeMar DeRozan and maybe Alex Caruso, but do we really want to do that? Because 2-3 years down the road, we're not going to be able to get anything for him later on down that road. Maybe the Washington Wizards route. Washington Wizards route, they have like Corey Kispert, Tyus Jones, great backup point guard. They're all relatively.
They have a center too, Gafford, correct?
Right.
They have some big man options that we might want to pursue.
That's right
as well. Yeah, the Chicago route, obviously, with DeMar DeRozan, he's probably 1 or 2 years past his prime. definitely injury prone. If we were trying to, again, like we were last year, just save our season, he would probably be a good option. But every team, if we're going to get one of their major players, every team is going to want Austin Reeves, which is probably our youngest, most talented, potential prospect that we have. So
even though every single team is going really hard at Austin Reeves on the offensive side,
they all want him, but we probably want to ship D'Angelo. Most teams are going to want Austin Reeves, and like you said, 2 or 3 years down the line with Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan, they're not really future prospects or prospects that we could build a team around in the future, especially if LeBron leaves or retires.
Right. That's why kind of Raptors, Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, 27 years old, 25 years old. I thought Gary Trent would have been like 30 by now because it seems like Lakers have been wanting Gary Trent like forever, right? It's like there's always been talk and
another Laker killer.
He's been a Laker like 2-3 times over already. It feels like.
Yeah. Both of those players have always taken it to the Lakers, so I think we admire them and really want a player like them that come off our bench and could be an option, especially when, our top options aren't working for that particular night.
All right. So 27, 25, that would fit great on the timeline. 3-4 years down the road, 30, 28, 29, that would still be great trade assets for us. Tyus Jones, Corey Kispert, and Gafford, they're all relatively young. Even Utah Jazz side with
Larry Marketing.
Yeah. So Utah Jazz is wanting basically the farm for Lauri Markkanen. They want like 3 first straight up for Markkanen.
We don't have enough assets for that trade, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think about the DeJounte Murray option?
I like DeJounte Murray. Lakers have all the reason to want him. Especially right now, what the package is basically it's D'Lo, our 2029 first, and JHS, right? I mean, JHS, he hasn't been doing great this season. He really needs more run in the G League. We need to send him down there and make it happen. But I mean, for that package, yes, we want him. I mean, but if I was Atlanta, I mean, I feel like I could get a better package than that.
What about a Max Christie? Max Christie seems to have some upside. Obviously this is only his second year, but he seems to have developed and, he's gotten better, especially from the 3-point line. He could also be a trade chip in that DeJounte Murray trade maybe. But I mean, do you want to give up, so much of your future for a player who just seems to have kind of, similar upsides that, D'Angelo Russell has. So, how much do you want to give for DeJounte Murray? That's the question.
Especially because DeJounte Murray, he's hit 2 game winners these past couple games.
Yeah. So his trade stock has gone up.
Yeah.
But Atlanta does not seem like a team that, even if they make the playoffs, they're probably one and done, or they're an in-season tournament team that gets eliminated. They don't seem to have a long-term future. So I think that Atlanta is probably looking to shop him. Especially since his stock has been up recently. But do the Lakers have the assets to make that trade? That's the big question. Yeah,
I believe they do. I mean, that seems like the route it's going in, unless if Atlanta finds a better offer. Otherwise, it will probably be DeJounte Murray. I mean, you've seen on X all these tweets that basically welcome Murray over to the Lakers already.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so many pictures and so many posts with DeJounte Murray already in Lakers jersey. I was starting to think that the trade had already been done.
Right.
We see so many of those, and they say that those talks are heating up. But just because we hear these rumors, does that mean the trade is actually going to happen? A lot of the times when one of these big trades happen, we don't hear the rumors beforehand. Right, we didn't hear rumors about D'Angelo Russell coming to the Lakers last year. We didn't hear
too much smoke. There's never fire.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if this is going to be the trade, or the next time that we do a podcast, we're going to be talking about a totally different person.
Well, okay. If you cover all these teams, right? Like I said, it's Chicago Bulls, It's the Raptors, it's Washington, it's
Atlanta.
Utah, maybe Portland, right? If you
Yeah.
cover most of these bases, like I don't really see another like out of left field type like trade coming in. Like Portland, we don't want Jeremy Grant. I mean, he's way too expensive. They don't want to give it to him, give it to us. Who's their other young player-ish? I don't remember their
They
other
got
young.
Anthony Simmons. He probably is not on the trade.
Oh,
block.
Simmons, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Jeremy Grant probably is in his prime or about to be past his prime. I can't really think. He kind of just seems like a better Vanderbilt, maybe a Vanderbilt with a 3-point shot. So I can't really feel like he. I don't really feel like he, fills any of our needs. Our needs are what? 3-point shooting, right? Perimeter defender.
Two-way player.
A two-way player, right? Athleticism, and maybe I kind of added a person that's consistent off the bench. But and Jeremy Grant might fulfill some of those needs, but especially when we're talking about building for the future, I don't really feel like he's the prospect for that either. So yeah, it does kind of seem like there aren't a lot of options for us going forward. But hopefully, Rob Pelinka sees something that you and I do not see.
All right, Lakers fam. So you heard it here first. Let's see what happens. I mean, do you guys feel like one of these trade prospects that we spoke about is appealing to the Lakers, or do you feel Rob Pelinka is going to hit it out of the left field again?
Let's do it, Rob.
We'll see you next time.
All right, Laker fans.